And here's what I'm saying. Teams do a ton of watching the players that they think they want.
Oh, yeah.
They've got scouts at these games. They're talking with them. They have meetings. They're not dumb. Well, I don't know. The Browns are dumb. The Browns are dumb. But that goes way further beyond this, right? They drafted Johnny Manziel. That shows you one issue.
How many quarterbacks have they had since 1999?
Okay, the biggest mistake still is he's at the Bucks now. Why can't I think of
Baker Mayfield?
Mayfield. That is the biggest mistake they made.
Look how good he's thriving down there now.
It is a little weird to think that Baker Mayfield was once a Browns quarterback.
He was the best Browns quarterback in the last 10 years.
He took him to the playoffs and won a playoff game against the Steelers.
They cut him. And I'm like, guys, he's been your best quarterback that you've ever had.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Talking Laws. I'm Silas. This is James. This is Zach. James with the preemptive wave.
Yep. Just the farmer wave, just one finger.
The one finger. Well, we'll see how far James has slouched down by the end of the episode. We'll see if he's like full on parallel.
New record, or I don't know. We're gonna probably end up talking about the Bears at some point, so it might keep him up in his chair a little bit more there. But
our teams and then big picture stuff.
So yeah, I'm sure you know by the thumbnail we're talking about doing a little draft recap here. Where do you guys want to start?
Individual teams, start with the Bears, go to the Giants, go to the Broncos, then talk overall.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be fine. I was pretty happy with the Bears' picks. I guess I was a little surprised by the tight end pick, but I guess it doesn't totally surprise me because
you thought they were going to get Warren?
Well, no, I just didn't know that they were going to go that early on a tight end. I figured they would have tried to get like a good offensive tackle. I thought Banks was going to be who they would have taken out of Texas. I thought that was the best looking tackle in the draft.
You still got your tackle, Ozzie, out of Boston College.
Yeah, and he's a good pick at the time. I think he was the best pick. At the time, so I'm fine with it. I do kind of forget how much. The tight ends are necessary in today's game. Like we have Cole Kmet, but we don't really have another one, and I kind of forgot about it until you draft it and then you start looking. You go, oh yeah, Mercedes Lewis is super old.
And then it's also what Ben Johnson's also really good at using tight ends.
He loves tight ends, so that's why I'm not. Once I start looking into it, it's like, okay, I guess I'm not surprised.
And then
that they did that.
If you go a little bit bigger picture on, you're talking about the use of tight ends nowadays. What was one of the biggest recipes to the Patriots' long-term success? Was that safety blanket, Rob Gronkowski, right? Yeah, minus Aaron Hernandez. And then what's been a big reason for the Chiefs' continued success is that reliable target in Travis Kelce.
Yep.
And so when you have that reliable tight end, that's I think it just takes such, and we've seen it, you see it at the college level, it takes that burden off the quarterback to know that he's always got that old reliable out there.
Yep.
And so I think for Ben Johnson and what he wants to do with the Bears, just having that, and Colson Loveland is an excellent receiving tight end. And so if you can have that for your young quarterback,
I was watching.
I think that can be something that is just very helpful.
His route running ability off the line is actually pretty impressive, and I do think when you look at the Bears and the issues they've had with the line so far, being able to put two good blocking tight ends benefits you on a weak tackle. Because you can kind of add a little support there. He can chip. He can do a full block if he's good in run block, but then can also split off and do a little route, beat a linebacker handily. I do think that's where Cole Kmet still needs some improving, is being able to actually create a mismatch with a linebacker. I feel like sometimes he doesn't always do that. And so I do think that's where Colson Loveland comes into play. And he's more of a mismatch out there. You put two of them, you could line up two tight ends, two receivers, three receivers, whatever you want to do there. He also fits as kind of a big-bodied slot receiver in a way that you could slide him out wide and
a lot of things you can do with him.
Yeah.
And then it's also that if you want to try to knock him for being not a good blocker, well, all Michigan did last year was run it like 90% of the time.
Yeah, the quarterback
and he was still out there on the field. So it's I don't know. I think it's a when I saw that pick, I thought it was my initial thought was just I thought it was a really good pickup for the Bears.
I especially love the Luther Burden pick.
From
Missouri.
I think that's a really good
offense.
one.
That's what Ben Johnson's going to run. This guy's already familiar with that kind of system. What Eli Drakewitz runs down in Columbia. And I love the pick. The Bears, like we've been saying, I'm saying this just early offseason right now, the Bears, with the trades they made for nothing for those offensive linemen, well, they did free agency. Adding Ben Johnson's the big one, obviously, as a head coach. But fact is, on paper, the Bears, why can't they go 10-7 and make a wild card?
I think right now
it's still the Bears, so keep your expectations tempered.
Right now, I would
have a Broncos kind of season.
I would be happy with a 7-seed wild card,
even if you lose
the first round.
That's still humongous progress.
Yep. It shows that there's something happening that's actually benefiting Chicago. Chicago sports in general have been rough over the last 20 years.
Side.
Yeah, but it's like. You have no championships in the bowls, and you have nothing really with the
Blackhawks haven't been good in like a decade.
Yep, and then you've got the Bears that have missed playoffs for a number of years now.
Cubs look really good so far. Early.
Cubs look good early, but they still they still haven't. They made a wild card 3 years ago maybe.
First year David Ross.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit. So it's just like, but they didn't even go that far. They lost, I think, in the wild card.
Yeah.
So it's like just Chicago sports are down, and so they're looking for something to gravitate and hold on to again.
Yep.
And so I think it's a big emphasis for Ben Johnson just to get a team back to prominence. Kevin Warren is that way. He wants to be in winning culture. He wants to see winning football. And so I think just the organization in general is looking promising.
Oh yeah.
And the off-season moves that they've made have been fabulous. And I'm not upset with any of the picks they took in the draft, to be honest.
No, I thought
I'm happy with them.
Clear and concise, true needs. Later on, you can kind of pick for depth or take a chance. You know,
it's like they took the Rutgers running back
guy. Yeah.
And
I think that's actually a pretty good pick for.
He
for
looks
that
kind of like
draft.
a power back. I think it's someone that if you're a little bit worried about Swift's ability this next year, is he going to be there? Is he not? Is this the reason why you add a running back? I do feel like running backs are starting to become more like a dime a dozen type of a feel.
Running backs are coming back, though. Like, people are starting to emphasize, starting to go away from pure passing all the time back to the need for the running back.
Well,
Genty goes so early.
Yeah, and I do think that's necessary, but I also think teams are doing like 2 or 3 backs and trying to do what the Lions did, where you've got 2 backs that can come in each set of downs, be fresh, and not lose steam. So teams are trying to.
There's about 2 routes. You either do it the Lions way, where you have a good balanced running attack between a couple guys, or if you can go find a Saquon, you go get a Saquon.
Or Derrick Henry.
Yeah, or Derrick Henry. That's kind of your 2 options. You know.
But it's like if you have someone who can, either a couple guys that can run side by side, almost identical, but you have one that's more of a power back that you can put in on a 4th down short, a third and goal.
Or get a guy on a screen and let him make a move and go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think teams are starting to look for that option to rotate in running backs, and they're just trying to find who's the right fit. And so you get someone like Saquon who fit really well in the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because there was an offensive line to run behind. Yeah.
And then you get Derrick Henry, who takes the emphasis off of Lamar, and that benefits Lamar. And so it's like you find that guy who fits the spot that you need him to be in, and to take the pressure off whoever it is, whether it's the quarterback or the other running back or whatever it is, take some of that pressure off. Look at Christian McCaffrey at the Niners. He took some pressure off the not only Brock Purdy, but also off of the receiving core, because he's such a good back out of the
He can do
out of the
everything,
back. He's got good hands. He can do everything. You just put that much more difficulty on the defense themselves to cover more people. And so it's like finding what fits your situation. And so obviously the Bears taking that running back goes, okay, they see something in him. Ben Johnson sees something in him that he likes that fits what he's trying to do now. And so whatever that is, I'm not sure whether it's more of a, third and fourth down back or if it's a try and complement Swift and run multiple backs at a time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I like it.
Right. Yeah. What grade would you give your draft for your team overall, going A to F?
I would probably... They added depth in the line. I like the receiver pick. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because we do have a lot of receivers. So unless you're looking at Keenan Allen as potentially being maybe done this year, trying to bring someone in to
he's getting
learn.
close to being done.
So I don't hate it. I would go like maybe a B plus on it.
I think that's fair. All right.
You go Giants
Boys
next?
in blue. Yeah. I loved your draft, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid draft for the Giants. Yeah, no, I thought it was a really solid draft. I checked out of the first round after the Steelers picked, and so I didn't even see the Giants trade back up. I was in bed at that point, but
dude, it was so funny that the Giants traded up twice and still didn't pick Shitter.
Right, because I texted that in our chat. I was like, oh, they're going to do it.
Yep.
Because they did the smart thing. They got Abdul Carter,
yes,
who could be a generational pass rusher, potentially, you hope. And then came back and got...
I think it's just... I think Abdul Carter's a really nice complement to the pieces that they already have
Do you think
on the
they'll
defense.
trade Thibodeau because of his injury issues and replace him with Carter? Or do you think they're trying...
contract, so it's a lot easier.
Do you think they're trying to give him one more year to try and complement?
No, I don't think they'll trade him. I think they're just trying to kind of just look at what the Eagles did, and you're just trying to throw everybody out there. I mean, with the offenses they have to deal with, primarily now the Commanders and the Eagles offense, you're just trying to throw what
get any sort of pressure.
Yeah, you're just trying to do what you can with that, and so I think you're just kind of trying to throw everybody out there. I hope with Jackson Dart, I hope he doesn't take a single snap this year.
Sit behind Russ.
I hope that Russ is at least good enough to start the year. Give kind of a little bit of an old-fashioned way. You draft a guy, you let him sit, and learn, and then it's his turn. And then plus, still not sold on how the Giants' offensive line is going to be. You only draft one. I don't know if they did much in free agency to address it.
The fourth round, you did grab one Cameron Scadaboo, though, who will help a bad offensive line by running over people.
Well, yes, you can, again, but is he a Derrick Henry that's going to run over everybody and everybody? I don't know. Like, I love the pick of Cam Scadaboo, but again, you can be Derrick Henry, but not very many players are. That's why there's only one Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And so you can look at Saquon's success after he left the Giants and goes to the Eagles.
Improved offensive line.
It's crazy different how much more productive he was. And so I'm still worried. I think that's going to be probably still the biggest hindrance until they get offensive line figured out. It's hard to be good without a good offensive line.
Right, and this year wasn't particularly strong for offensive line.
Wasn't great.
Defensive line and safety this year.
We'll see how they handle that. That's still my biggest concern. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good draft.
Cornerback seems like a decent cornerback to take Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really have any major issues with any of the picks. I wanted them to take Carter early. I think he could be really good. I hope Jackson Dart turns into a pretty solid quarterback.
Playoffs, not this year. But
worst case scenario, just go draft another one next year. I mean, again, last time we took an Ole Miss quarterback, it worked out. So
you get Cade Klubnik next year?
Yeah, why not? We'll just pull the Browns. We'll just have 5 quarterbacks in the.
This year, Flacco, Small Hands Pickett, Massage Wannabe, and then this year Dylan Gabriel and Shador.
Yep.
Yeah. Hard Knocks had better go to Cleveland.
Ridiculous.
Especially if Deion shows up.
Which again, I know that for the Browns at least, I know that what's his face, Watson,
Deshaun.
Yeah, he's not a factor this year because he re-injured his leg or something like that. But
yeah.
But yeah, I still have questions as to what the Browns are doing. But no, I thought the Scatterboo pick was
the Browns have questions as to what they're still doing.
Yeah, I thought the Scatterboo pick was kind of a sneaky good pick in the 4th round.
Yeah,
I know you were really high on him. Wanted the Broncos to take him.
Him or Caleb Johnson out of Iowa.
Yeah,
Caleb Johnson for
which
Pittsburgh.
we can even touch on Pittsburgh a little bit. I thought that was a really good pick.
Great pick
for Pittsburgh. I don't know if I say here, but I thought whoever got Caleb Johnson could end up getting the best running back out of this class. Mm-hmm. We saw what he did in Iowa, and he did it on a team against really good competition where you knew he was getting the ball. So it's kind of like Ashton Genty. You knew he was getting the ball, except he's doing it against Big Ten competition, and he still put up huge numbers. But yeah, so for the Steelers, and plus he's still wearing the black and yellow, so it's kind of feels like it'll kind of be a smooth transition. Yeah, so I thought that was a good pickup for the.
What's your grade for your
Steelers
team?
I think it's
got to be an A, man.
I think it's a pretty solid A. Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to go any less than that when you get 2 good first-round picks.
Yeah.
And I don't think you had to give up a ton to get Jackson Dart either. So I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, no, I felt pretty good about it. So I don't have anything too much to be upset about with their draft. So
yeah, so Denver. So we needed tight end, running back, and then maybe edge rusher. First pick was at 20. I thought we would possibly take another wide receiver because this is Cortland Sutton's last year of his deal.
Yep.
So if you can't renegotiate with Cortland, let's say he walks, you need someone else. Well, Ibuka from Ohio State got taken before that. Thought maybe go with Luther Burden, but it's kind of early for that. So they went ahead and got the best highest graded defensive back in college football last season with Jahdae Barron out of Texas. And so you kind of have to do that when you're playing in the best division in football.
Who did that? The Broncos?
Broncos got Jahdae Barron out of Texas.
Okay.
And with that division, you got to play against Mahomes and Herbert twice a year. I'm not gonna count Geno over in Vegas, but it's a lot of points you have to try. A lot of scoring you have to try to stop. So you have the reigning defensive player of the year with Pat Surtain on one end, Riley Cooper. As long as he stays healthy from Iowa, he's a really good second defensive back. You get Barron in there. That's just going to help Denver so much more, which had the best statistical defense in the league last year. So I like that pick. Wasn't what I was expecting necessarily, but I'm not against it either. This one has surprised me in the second round. I thought we would go ahead and get Caleb Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You take R.J. Harvey, who we as Big 12 fans are very familiar with. Super speedy, able to get the ball out of the backfield, catches the ball well. Broncos had a great offensive line. So
who's the Broncos' other running back right now?
I don't know. Javonte Williams is gone.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't even know who they have.
Really? Yeah. Williams is gone. So Harvey, I mean, for all intents and purposes, is going to be RB1.
Mm-hmm.
And so rookie running back with sophomore quarterback, but when you got a genius in offense like Sean Payton, who Nix fits that offensive system that's so complicated, and Payton's really well. So I like to believe that Sean Payton and George Payton, our GM, really worked hand in hand. They worked really well together last year, and you saw the results with Denver. And now you can just kind of keep building up now because this upcoming year. You get rid of the last bit of the Russell Wilson deal, and next year you're full of cap money. You're not doing too bad this year, but it's chock full of cap money.
Mm-hmm.
So you could rework the Cortland Sutton deal if you needed to. But R.J. Harvey would have preferred Caleb Johnson because I'm familiar with him, but Harvey's still a good pick. I hope it turns out to be a good pick because we haven't had a really good running back since Terrell.
At least consistently.
Well, you had the kid with the afro.
Yeah,
He was good for
that's
like
right.
5 weeks,
Yep.
had a good story, and then he was gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always forget his name. Philip something. Right?
Was it Philip something or was it
I thought it was Philip. Either way.
Yeah, I can picture him in my head.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, show
Yeah.
Afro boy. Anyway, then you got Pat Bryant out of Illinois. Don't know much about the kid. 6'3". You look okay. Potential Sutton.
Yeah, good size.
Right there.
Good size
so,
there.
And then the next two, you took third and fourth round. You got SEC edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have someone opposite of gosh dang, why am I blanking on his name? Out of Oklahoma, he was good against Iowa State and was awesome last year. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. But either way, and then you got punter. So
This is jumping on the Broncos roster. I don't know.
I know his Nick Benito.
Oh.
Nick Benito. Yeah, he was great last year. And then this one, I think it'd be the super sneaky pick right here. Now maybe you remember this name. You remember the name?
What, your punter?
No.
Oh.
He's not from Iowa, so he's gonna suck. But yeah, because Iowa only knows how to punt. So, but somehow they won 8 games. It's ridiculous.
Field position, man. Field position.
Well, we can talk about the Iowa schedule in a few months. It's really hard. Anyway, do you remember the name, Silas? Caleb Lohner?
Mm-hmm. Out of Utah.
Well, where was he before that?
Before that, I don't know.
He was winning a national championship at Baylor for basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what the world?
Wow.
Interesting.
So, 6th-year guy, transferred out of Baylor basketball, went to Utah for football.
Huh.
So I'm thinking to myself, hey,
Is that how bad Utah is? They're like, yeah, we'll just take anybody.
But Utah's pretty good at football. Or-
Utah is a Pac-12 champion. It's like they didn't
Yeah.
do very well this year. But anyway,
well, it doesn't help when you don't have a quarterback. So
no, they'll
I
get
don't-
it straightened out. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
But Caleb Lohner, I keep thinking to myself, hey, why not have an Antonio Gates kind of guy or Antonio Gonzalez? Though some of the best tight ends ever to play the game played basketball and football. A lot of it, when you're catching across the middle, is about position, right? It's
No
like you're
hard box
boxing
out.
out,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay,
well, that's
maybe a sneaky
yeah,
good
and that's
pick
what you
there.
saw with those big. That's what you see with those big frame tight ends that are red zone threats. Is it's literally most of the time it's them getting position,
Yep.
and boxing someone out. So you see that quite a bit. So that's
Here's the thing. This is
Sounded
on
like pickup.
PFF. Lohner played just 43 receiving snaps in 2024, caught only 5 passes, but 4 of those went for touchdowns. 3 of them were contested.
red zone threat.
So everyone's like, Lohner, and Sean Payton, maybe a Jimmy Graham kind of thing when he was really, really good. So, yeah, for the Broncos, I mean, like I said, kind of a weird draft to start, but I trust George and Sean Payton. I'd probably give him a B-. I wouldn't give him a C necessarily, but because they can develop and all that, but I'll give him a B- probably. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
other takeaways. I know for me, of course, there was Ashton Genty going at 6 to
Yep.
the Raiders, and everything kind of leading up was like, hey, he could go like super early in the first. It's kind of makes you wonder if running backs are coming in more of an emphasis again with 2 running backs like we were talking about earlier.
Who's the Raiders' other running back right now? Do they have one?
I thought they did. Raiders been irrelevant
Was
for
it
a
was it
while.
Aaron Jones?
Yeah, but
He
I
was in
think
Minnesota.
no. Aaron Jones was with them, but I think
Minnesota, wasn't he?
no, but I think he was with them. But maybe that was between his Packers and his Vikings one.
I'll look it up.
But I think he's out of his. He was only on a 1-year contract.
Gotcha.
I think the other part of seeing, because we saw it with Ashton Genty this year, was it a year or 2 ago we saw a running back go high? I'm totally blanking. But I think with seeing running back kind of starting to get back in that first round, because for a while there it was
Zamir White's there. And,
You didn't even think
Mostert's
about-
there.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a running back. So
You
Yeah,
don't
that's
really
you
pretty
need
good.
running back.
you didn't really think about a running back in the first round, and I think part of it is obviously there's a lot of wear and tear on a running back,
Yep.
and not many of them are going to be a Saquon and a Derrick Henry that can go for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially Derrick Henry. And so
Not the beating he takes.
if you've got one that you think is really good, you take him in the first round, and you use them for the best years that you can get out of them. I think is kind of some of the thinking. And so I think that's why you're kind of starting to see the usage of young running backs, especially them going higher in drafts, is it's teams wanting to get talented running backs and get them in their prime before that wear and tear kind of starts to set in. I think that's at least part of it as to why Ashton Genty ended up going so high.
Yep.
You have a team that kind of desperately needs one.
You need a lot of things, but running back's a big one.
And then you've got a really talented one there with Genty. The funniest part of the Genty pick is I was watching the draft, and they've got that screen when they put on their hat, and they're like flipping through some of the players, and it's all that, and you see like the top half of Genty's head on the screen, and it cracked me up a little bit there. But
he's short, but he's got a lot of power to the ground because of that.
Hopefully it works out for him. I've been kind of dogging the kid because you played in the Mountain West. Yep. So I'm saying Caleb Johnson or Scadaboo, at least they're playing against really good competition.
But even though you're still playing really good players in the Mountain West, and with the amount that they ran him. And here's the other thing with him is he's not just can only run it. He can catch the ball really well out of the backfield too.
I just wonder about
and
the
so
high pick.
I think he's a much more complete running back than it seems, and it's because of how much Boise ran him this last year. They were trying to get him the Heisman. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a complete back.
Yep.
Kind of an underrated prospect too. It sounded like coming out of high school, and so he could have been playing at a higher level. He chose to stay at Boise. Wanted
Credit
to stay
to him.
at Boise.
I like when players do that.
And so he's clearly a loyal guy, which kind of seems like the theme of this last draft is character.
Yep.
And that's a guy of high character, and those are the kinds of guys you want in your locker room that you want to build your team around.
Yep.
Because that's what the Raiders need is literally everything and anybody. And so you don't want to just bring in anybody. You bring in guys with high character to build that team up. I think it was probably the same thing with Brock Bowers.
Bowers had a tremendous season.
And so those are the kinds of guys if you need anything, you want to find guys who are a really good in high character guys at the same time.
Other team that stood out for me would be the Rams. The Rams traded completely out of the first round. What do they need to do? They got to replace Stafford. So I think next year, let's say the Rams finish, let's say they make it to the wild card and lose this year. So they're picking around 20 or 22, somewhere around there. They need to have some ammunition to be able to move up to the third or fourth pick overall, and have 2 first-rounders just sitting in your pocket next year is a big deal. So you can go get Klubnik. You can go get Arch Manning if he came out.
Which I think Arch Manning already said that he was planning on he was going to not declare for 26.
Well, we'll see. If he wins
Heisman, let's say things go how they're supposed to go, and he either is a Heisman finalist, wins the Heisman. What if Texas wins a championship?
Ugh,
why wouldn't you go? You've got the name.
What if you get hurt? That's the thing. You better strike with iron.
You've got the name. Yeah. Let's say for Archman in Texas, let's say he's a Heisman finalist and Texas at least makes it to the national championship game, possibly wins it.
Sure.
Like, what incentive would he have to come back to college? Now let's say you finish like 4th or 5th maybe in the Heisman voting. You make
first round of the playoffs.
You don't make it super deep in the playoffs. Yeah, then he's probably coming back.
Should, yeah.
And so I think if it's what Texas wants it to be this year, and they finish on top, I would have a hard time believing Arch would want to come back.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And we've seen it before where players do come back, and then it can end up hurting their stock. And so if your stock's not going to be higher, your name ID is never going to be higher. So, but that's obviously a problem for next year. So
I'll say this one kind of combines right here. Unless you guys had a thought, I was going to start talking about the Houston Cyclones.
Yes,
so funny.
It's all Cyclone receivers for the Texans.
Houston, I think overall, and it's in part because of
Higgins and Knoll.
They might have been my favorite. I absolutely love the way they drafted.
They are Nick Casario is a great GM.
Maybe they should have gone a little bit more offensive line.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But it's probably going to be C.J. Stroud. You get rid of the ball within a second and a half.
That Noel make
You have got wide receivers everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Just start throwing
Just
the
start
ball.
throwing
One
the
of them
ball.
will get it.
Just start throwing the ball. So
They also
other
have
than
one of the best backs in the
other
league,
than
too, with
not
Joe Mixon.
really addressing offensive line, which I mean they took one, but still. Other than that, I thought they had a really good draft. I think Graham Mertz is actually a decent pickup late in the draft.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, for backup, I mean,
Yeah.
you need. I mean, again,
Yeah.
he's not always hasn't been healthy, but again, he's steady quarterback. He's not going to screw it up for you if you need him to come in.
Sure.
So it's not a bad backup. Late in the draft, you get Luke Lachey out of Iowa, who, if he could have stayed healthy, would have gone way higher in the draft.
One of those Iowa tight ends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go wrong drafting an Iowa tight end. It's like drafting an Ohio State wide receiver. And so...
They go hand in, or a Georgia defensive lineman.
Yeah.
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 Or whatever else.
Georgia
Iowa
defense,
punters.
period.
Iowa punters.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Iowa
think if
State
there's
receivers.
Iowa State
apparently.
receivers.
Iowa State receivers.
Even Iowa State running backs, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. But I thought it was really cool. We're obviously going to touch a lot on the Iowa State side of things because it's
our team.
It's it is awesome to see 4 Iowa State players get drafted, all within the first 4 rounds, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Travis went at the 4th of the Colts.
Yep.
At tackle. He'll be a guard in the league, but
And then to see Jalen Nolan, Jaden Higgins, they're teamed up in the NFL now. I mean,
and there was Xavier
they were
Hutchinson,
both
too.
1,000-yard receivers last year at Iowa State, which was super under the radar. No one really talked about it that much. And
They
so
also
you're getting-
both did really good at the combine, too.
Yeah,
Yes, they did.
and really good in meetings. And so you're getting an excellent wide receiver duo, and you're adding it with an already really good wide receiving core in Houston.
And you got rid of Stephon Diggs.
I was going to
That's a
say,
big
and
one.
you dumped Stephon Diggs. So I think for them, they benefited themselves a lot
Oh, big time.
all around with what they did there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so obviously it's clear to see the direction Houston wants to go. Again, got to figure out offensive line.
Yep.
That's still a huge red flag for them. But it's clear to see they're like, hey, we're going to put weapons all around C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
And maybe
CJ
not much
Stroud
in
can
front
throw
of
the
him,
ball,
but yeah. And I think that's what hindered them last year was offensive line play, you know. And so
Didn't he take the most sacks last year?
Second most.
Second most.
Yep.
It was a bunch.
I think the Bears took
I
most.
think you're right, though.
yeah, because what was it? 8 times Stroud was sacked in the playoff game against Kansas City.
Yep.
Not good.
It was bad.
Yeah, no, and so
Maybe that's why they let
I-
half their offensive line leave. in the
I like
offseason.
Houston. It's gonna be
or traded them.
Yeah, they went to Tunsil's over in Washington.
Yeah,
also.
Tunsil. They traded Tunsil there.
Yep.
yeah.
That was a huge trade in and of itself when they got him from the Dolphins. Like
Yeah.
4 years ago, 3-4 years
Is that when
ago.
it was?
Yep.
Yeah, and it was a big, huge deal because Tunsil was like the best left tackle in the league at the time.
Yep. Well, the
And-
Dolphins have been, as a Dolphin X, I know what it's like to make the same mistake over and over again, think it'll work again.
Is that like drafting a quarterback that's always injured to back up a quarterback that's always injured?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a definition of
Didn't they
insanity.
get Quinn?
Yeah, they drafted Quinn Ewers.
I'll tell you what, speaking of Quentin Ewers, a little side topic here. I think his family has killed every single animal on the face of the earth.
what it
Yeah, I
you
think so.
see the background?
And then put
I
it up
didn't-
on their wall.
I
right
didn't
by
Yeah.
see it, but
think I
it
saw
was
the
heard about
fossil
it.
It was like, yeah, I know that there was a meme, and it was like, if you like the Lion King, it doesn't matter who you like in the Lion King, they're all on the wall in the Ewers house.
Yeah, right, exactly. There was a lot. So you can tell they're from Texas.
Yeah.
It was super funny.
Now, I will say this. The worst draft, in my personal opinion, was the Niners.
Yeah, they didn't really do anything.
Defense. And then they've got a receiver like the 5th round. You lost Debo. Brandon Ayuk's coming off an injury-plagued year. McCaffrey's coming off an injury-plagued year.
But their
Brock
defense
Purdy
did get destroyed.
Yeah, I am
in the
agreeing with
offseason.
you on that. And I want Brock Purdy to be Iowa State's daddy, give us a bunch of NIL money. Can't make that check if you have no one to throw it to. you know? But that's what I thought. We were watching the draft, like, oh, Noel's going to be here for the Niners. I bet they team up Noel to replace Debo with his old teammate Brock Purdy. Nope, pass on, took more defense. But Robert Saleh's back again, so we'll see what he can do. But I thought their draft just stunk.
Now, I'm not real good at this, but like receivers next year, who would you say coming draft wise? Who would you say is up there?
Oh.
It might not be something that
wide receivers next year
for college.
Because here's my thought
from Ohio State. So that kid from Ohio State for sure.
Nope, because he'll be a sophomore.
I thought he was a redshirt
Here's
sophomore.
my thought.
He was a true freshman this year.
Are the Niners going to load up defense? Plan on this year being heavily McCaffrey. Hopefully getting Ayuk back. They paid George Kittle.
Yep.
And they go, okay, this is going to be a low-scoring year, so we're going to emphasize on defense because defense was heavy this year in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of good defensive players.
Especially the interior line.
Yep. And so they loaded up on that. They replaced a lot of the guys they lost or are needing depth for.
Yep.
They just go, hey, we're going to play a little bit of a defensive game this year of basically keep it low-scoring and let McCaffrey score 2 touchdowns and Brock throw 1 to Kittle, and that's our entire offense. Right?
Yeah.
Hopefully IU comes back and plays better. They have Purcell, who should be better than
maybe
he is.
This kid out of Montana will be a stud.
Montana.
I mean, it is Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where, okay, are they looking at their team and saying, okay, we're not really going to miss Debo. Like, yes, he left and he was a big impact, but we can work without him, and that's
also
fine.
kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
You know?
And so you say, okay, is this actually going to benefit us? We load up, we replace our defense, we reload on our defense. Salah's going to fix it.
Yep.
We're going to play a defensive game this year. We're going to plan on winning with 3 to 4 touchdowns a game, a couple field goals. That's our game plan here. Next year, you look at veteran receivers in the
I'm going to look that up.
Off season
next year.
Do you look at somebody coming out of the draft next year that looks really favorable to you? Something along those lines, because Kyle Shanahan's not dumb, and so I think they saw what they had this year in the draft and went, this is a really good year to load up on defense and replace a lot of these guys that we lost.
So next year,
and especially if that's your bread and butter, if that's what you're going to hang your hat on, is that we are going to be really good on defense, right? If that's what you hang your hat on,
well, they were so banged up last year on defense, and it
show
hurt
that up
majorly.
I mean, they were beat up everywhere last year.
Yeah, but still, their offense performed decently, but their defense couldn't hold.
It was the Iowa State
and
of the
so,
NFL.
Yeah, you reload and you be like, hey, we want to shore up this defense. We want that to be a sure thing on our team because that's what we take pride in.
Yep.
So to your point, you load up and then you can go focus offense next year in free agency or something like that.
So who is it next year?
You got Amari Cooper, older, Chris Godwin. Here's the interesting T. Higgins.
Okay.
Yep. Devontae Adams.
I don't think
and
anybody
then
touches
potentially Stephon Diggs. Don't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, he's done. Terry McLaurin, that's a good one.
Yep.
And George Pickens.
Okay.
You got a pretty
unless
decent
Pickens works out a deal with the.
Well, you can do that now because you still
Steelers
have Daniels and rookie contract.
No, Pickens just got picked up by.
Is Pickens not in Pittsburgh anymore?
Oh, sorry. No, I was thinking.
Devontae?
No, somebody just got. Golly, my brain's gone this year, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Or my brain is gone
It's
right
gone
now.
this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
James is
late April.
James is having a long week today.
Podcast
I
suck the rest of the year.
I got a little brain fog going on right now, and I can't remember.
Well,
anything,
you figure that out or whatever. I think the last thing we'll have to touch on as far as the draft before we get to the real topic that we want to talk about. Yes, we do. It's a lot more than just about sports at this point. Is Aaron Rodgers finally going to sign with the Steelers, or what's going to happen there? I mean, unless they really want to try out Will Howard,
I don't know,
or
man.
Mason Rudolph, week 1.
The Steelers have confused me as to what they've not done, basically.
I mean, honestly, for me, I just want the Steelers to sign him So that way Aaron Rodgers goes back to Green Bay. Because the Steelers play at Lambeau. I want to watch that game.
That would be fun.
Yep. Now, he's not signing with the Vikings like we all had hoped for. Just like do the complete Favre thing where you go to the Jets, then go to the Vikings, and it would work out perfectly. But I honestly just selfishly, and Packers are my second team, I would love to see Rodgers go back to Green Bay. Don't care what uniforms he's wearing as long as he's not wearing Broncos.
Back to Green Bay.
I think that would be a good pick. The Broncos
To go play against Green
the
Bay.
Broncos should
As a
sign
Steeler, yeah.
Aaron Rodgers as a good veteran presence in that locker room.
He probably is playing at peyote, but he'll probably charge his teammates for it, not share
That
it.
would be a
like
good
everybody
idea.
else
The
should.
Broncos should do that.
We already have
Try to
marijuana
talk-
problems
I'm
in
gonna-
Denver already.
I'm going to try to talk it into existence. So Aaron Rodgers will fit right in.
You and Kenny Copeland are going to speak things into existence, get rid of the coronavirus.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Just got to believe.
Do you blow the wind of God?
Not yet.
Yeah, you're working on
Working
it.
on it.
All right.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the draft, actually.
Dude, I watched all the way to the fifth round.
And again,
I
some
know.
of it was because of the Shedeur Sanders drama.
yeah.
But it was I thought it was funny how fast the first round was going by.
Really quick. What's up?
Deontay Johnson. Sorry, that's who was just.
Okay.
Sorry,
He
Cleveland
was
Browns.
working that hard to figure out Deontay Johnson.
Apparently.
Sorry. Well, because I knew it was a Steelers receiver, and I had
Kinda seemed like a
anyway.
waste of time.
Deontay Johnson, who was not even with he was with the Ravens last year. Anyway, the Browns signed him. Anyway,
Yeah, so
Continue on.
before we get to the Browns and some of that drama, I thought the draft was I think pretty entertaining.
Lambeau was a great spot.
yeah, there was
Green Bay-
205,000 people
Green Bay-
in Green Bay.
That's only
Absolutely.
107,000
Yeah.
Green Bay absolutely showed out for the
So
draft. So just a hands down shout out to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Literally everyone showed up.
The last note I have on just the draft as a whole was Clay Matthews' intro.
That was
Oh,
hilarious.
yes.
Was hilarious.
That was fun.
Was
James was
perfectly
hurt.
well done.
I was not
know
hurt. I
it's-
thought it was so funny.
The best little part was the part that I thought was the coolest part of that was when he said, "I just got off the phone with Donald Trump." There was a loud cheer
Oh, everyone
that
was
went
like,
out.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of get a gauge of what the political environment is, well, there's
He's
that.
popular.
And then that was just so well played by Clay Matthews. That was hilarious.
And I'm going to disagree with you. The best part was when he said, "Now, Roger, I'm going out scripted." And Roger's like,
Starts like freaking out. Yeah.
What's he going to do?
But yeah, I don't know. It felt like the first round was so fast. It was like pick us in, pick us
Yep.
in, pick us in, pick us in. It was.
Everybody knew what they
moved-
wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. There wasn't a lot of screwing around and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
What I thought was funny is just the rivalry between the Bears and Packers just never
Every time
ends.
the Bears came out,
The Bears pick came in for round one, and the commentator was like, "Oh, they were like, oh, there more booze for the Bears pick than there is for the commissioner this time."
yeah,
it's a tradition to boo the commissioner.
Yeah.
You have to.
yeah.
Yep.
No, and so it's. I thought it was awesome.
That's why he
He-
only does round one, because he just doesn't want to get booed anymore.
It's kind of like with Green Bay being the smaller market.
It's the smallest
there's
pro sports town in
There's
all the
such a
country.
more of a college type of feel to Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Like that
They're
tailgate,
loyal.
that tailgate
Yep.
environment, the loyalty to the team,
The Hunter Orange of the winter.
and I think,
Don't
and I
they have
think
a
that
sledding hill directly across from Lambeau in the winter?
I saw that.
well, what's crazy is you look at Lambeau and there's just the backdrop is houses.
Yep.
It's awesome.
So cool.
It's awesome. And so I thought it just made for a great draft environment. And honestly, if the draft was in Green Bay, like every other year, I think that would be fine because I thought that was pretty awesome.
Pittsburgh next year, I believe.
So
Yep.
I think
Heinz Field?
Yeah, we'll see. But
It's not Heinz Field anymore, isn't it?
no,
sure
it's
hope it is.
not.
No, it's not. It's
Heinz
something
Field.
different.
Makes me sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got bought out by that happened
Some
a couple years
stupid
ago.
now.
Yeah, no, it's not
Some
as
kind
cool
of
as Heinz
corporate
Field.
thing. Oh.
It's
Yeah,
one of those
because
things where it's like
Heinz
even if it's
Ketchup
different.
didn't re-up the contract, or somebody bought him out. You know,
Heinz probably wants to go like sponsor Kansas City or something like that. They'd probably make.
Well, maybe
probably better off doing that.
maybe the Kansas Chiefs in a couple of years they can't get an agreement with the city, the Royals, or the Chiefs, so they might move. Still be Kansas City, but they'd move across the border into Kansas, which how
boy.
stupid that'd be if Missouri lost those two franchises.
Yeah, that would be
and then
ridiculous.
Have to build a whole new stadium over something stupid like that.
I
That's
saw.
like you just pick
They
up the
gotta work
stadium
it
and
out.
I
move it.
saw the Commanders were potentially putting a stadium
No,
back.
they
where,
did. That happened now. Where old RFK Stadium
Yep.
used to be, they are going to put a brand new stadium right on the site. So,
That's really cool.
Which would be great.
Can we go
Finally-
back to being the Redskins though?
They might move. Okay, honestly,
All right.
one of the names for the team when they came up was DC Defenders, or Washington Defenders, I think is technically what it was going to be. And now you have the UFL team that's the DC Defenders, and I was like, dude, they should have just stuck with Defenders, and it
They
would have.
should be the Washington
My
Caucasians.
favorite part about that whole stupid deal was when they tried to
I could be
trademark
offended.
Washington football team. They tried
Yeah.
to trademark that and they couldn't. So that's why I said on Commanders.
It's like
Okay.
Ohio. It's like Ohio State tried to. They're so arrogant. Whatever. I'm not in the Big
Yes.
Ten, so I don't care. Tried to trademark the Ohio
Ohio
State.
State.
Ohio
Yeah.
State.
All right. I don't really care to talk about this, but I guess we can talk about it since you guys really want to.
okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say.
You know, let's
I
preface
found-
first.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
I found out something. The Browns were not going to draft Shadur Sanders until he dropped to the 5th round.
I want to comment on that.
So
All right, you go
here's what
first.
happened. Shadur Sanders. It's initially everyone thinks he's a first round pick. Then he drops out of the first round, which was a huge surprise when that happened.
Early second, you figured.
You figure early second, and then there's this big long slide. You've got people on TV freaking out about it.
Kuiper.
Mostly Mel Kiper, which it is what it is.
I love it.
And then he's trying to throw shade at the NFL, saying, "Well, they don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks."
We'll talk about that.
Which
I
is
got-
fair.
I got receipts.
Which is fair. They've misevaluated plenty of quarterbacks, but so has
has
Mel.
Mel.
So whatever. Again, I think somebody else on the set was like, "No one's batting 1,000," which is 100%.
That's
correct.
Louis Riddick.
So he goes on a big long slide after he had this whole draft room built and set up, and
Somebody was like, he spent more on his draft room than he'll get on his
original
rookie contract.
yeah. And so then it's questions are flying. Okay, why isn't he getting drafted? Obviously, then a lot of different reasons come out for that. Most of them not true. Which we'll get into some of that.
Yep.
The Browns ended up taking him in the 5th round. He got prank called earlier, which was a whole stupid
That's
deal.
dumb.
That
Oh,
should
that's
not
so
have
dumb.
happened.
So dumb. That
I don't
kid's a
know what
moron.
the consequence can be for that.
Well, I tell you
for
what,
that
they
guy.
want that. They want the kid. Was
Okay,
the son
it's
of
not
a-
his dad's fault.
No,
this
why
is
did
a
the dad get
grown man.
punched for
This is a
this?
grown man
Shouldn't
making.
I don't
a
think he did.
decision
I don't
that is
think the
stupid.
Falcons
Well,
were
he better
planning.
not be.
No.
I don't think the Falcons were going to do anything.
Okay, good because they should.
But
Kid's a
whatever
moron.
can happen to this guy for doing something like that. And again, there was lots of other prank calls that happened. Why you're prank calling players and taking
Yeah.
and stealing
Well,
highlights
the
and
main
just
thing
doing
is
something.
the
That's
main
just
thing is
stupid.
it's one of the biggest days of their lives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At this moment, like
Yeah.
why do that?
Yeah,
it's just not.
So that whole part of it is stupid. But
Yep.
Shadur falls to the 5th round. The Browns take him there after already drafting Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds earlier.
That was
I don't know.
funnier, I think.
Oh, I know.
Which it kind of sounds like the owner.
Jimmy Haslam is.
He was
the
like, "Hey,
worst
we're
owner
going to
in the
take
league.
him." So
Did you see their front office when they
Oh, they
drafted
did
him?
not look happy at all.
One
So-
of them just literally sat there and just was like,
yeah. So
Easy
now
Haslam.
the Browns have count it 5 quarterbacks on their roster. Maybe one of them work out. And again, I think Shadur could still work out and become a starting NFL quarterback.
Could yeah.
We'll see. You guys can take it from there.
You want me to go first? You want
Go for it.
All right, cool.
Before
So
I
just
go
a
on my
few,
10-minute
just a few
rant.
comments. I
I'm just
guarantee-
gonna leave and just let these two guys do their thing. Just
guarantee you-
walk out in the middle
Oh
of
no! When I
recording.
start talking about what other sports commentators have been saying, are our colleagues in the media.
It's not that at all.
I just think it's
I
funny
might
to
go
say.
to the bathroom instead.
Our
Just to
colleagues.
leave.
Anyway, Jimmy Haslam is the worst owner in the league. The Browns are the most dysfunctional franchise,
correct.
and
That's why they paid a guy $400 million guaranteed, basically.
for massages.
After what was it? 30 plus women came
No,
out.
20
plus-
allegedly.
okay, whatever. Yeah. So
Allegedly.
there's another side to this because everybody knows that they've been claiming racism with this whole.
Uh-huh.
Shadur
I got
Sanders.
receipts for this.
Again,
yeah.
clearly the NFL is not racist because a team in the NFL paid Deshaun Watson, what was it, $400 million?
Yeah, I think it was $240 guaranteed.
I don't care.
No, it was more than that. It was over $300 million guaranteed. His contract was over $400 million.
After his sexual assault allegations. So, clearly a guy with character issues. They still paid because they thought his talent was enough to outweigh that.
It's all about winning.
There you go.
So and that's all I have. First quarterback off the board in the draft of 2025.
Well, also, Jim, did you know, since the NFL is so racist, that 27 of the 32 players taken in the first round were black? Did you know that?
Not surprised.
No. And
because guess what? Was it? They base it off of talent.
First 4 picks were all black?
Yes. Yeah, because they had the interior lineman from Michigan, I thought 5th.
Was Will Campbell 4th? So was it the first 4th or 5th? So maybe it was the first 3 picks.
Will Campbell was 4th.
Okay, out of LSU. Okay.
So the first 3 picks, black guys, including another black quarterback.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so no, I've been listening to a lot of commentary about this because it's kind of the hot thing on the news cycle right now, and it really irritates me that as not us, but most of the predominant big sports media, ESPN, Fox, all them, they are just all up in arms because this is such a tremendous. This is so unfair to Shedeur. They only hate him because he's Deion's kid. Blah blah blah. Nothing about.
They might. You know what I was relating this to? The Ball brothers. No one wanted to touch the Ball brothers because of the dad.
LeVar was nuts.
Because he was just insane.
That doesn't help, but I did find this. I'd start with something funny. Brett McMurphy, who's a college football reporter, really, really good stuff. He tweeted, amazingly, all 5 quarterbacks selected in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft have not had their college numbers retired.
Yeah.
That doesn't help.
Should that irritate? Colorado is not a serious college football program.
This was a meme, but seriously, what's going to happen if Shedeur never does anything in the NFL? Colorado has a 1-year player's number retired
at 13 and 12.
At 13 and 12.
For 2 years. Or was it just 1
year? 2 years. There's 2 years.
Okay, 2 years.
He's there for 2 years.
13 and 12 overall. No bowl wins.
No spectacular
He did nothing.
stats, I don't think. Yeah.
Shedeur did nothing at Colorado.
Didn't win the Heisman.
Travis, I can understand that.
Yeah, Travis makes sense. He won the Heisman.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Shedeur Sanders thing, that was...
You have probably one of the like all-time... craziest guys play there, right? He's both sides of the ball. He plays thousands of snaps.
So good.
Both sides of the ball.
No one's disputing that.
That's fine. Okay, if you wanted to... Shedeur, what? Like, he did nothing for you.
They're not serious. They're not a serious program.
And then what if he ends up dropping to like a second-string quarterback or a third-string?
Or 4 years.
Yeah, or he's out. I mean, it's like... Then what do? Go unretire his jersey and be like,
you can't do that.
Nobody saw that.
But that's the thing. Think about Cordell Stewart, who that's before you guys' time. He helped them win the national championship in 1990. Number not retired.
Yep.
Michael Westbrook helped them win the title. Number not retired. Tim Tebow, in my personal opinion, greatest college football player of all time. 2 national championships and a Heisman. Number not retired yet at Florida.
Yep. Because generally you don't do it until they're like 70 years old.
Well, Iowa State. We'll get Niang in there at some point, Monte Morris.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's also a rumor out there that Shedeur would, and nothing would surprise me, but try to sue the NCAA to get his eligibility back and try to go play at Ohio State with Ryan Day.
Why?
Because according to...
not going to happen.
I know that, but here's the thing. There was a tweet that I found from Deion back in March. Here's what it said. I love what the Browns have done this offseason, but if I'm a young quarterback, ain't no way I'm going to Cleveland. I would pull an Eli Manning if possible.
Yep. I think the Browns saw that and just did it just to spite him.
I think Jimmy Haslam forced them to take him because Jimmy Haslam is a meddler.
Yeah,
you have
probably.
Dylan Gabriel. Leave it.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders is good value in the 5th round.
Oh,
even if he has character issues, you're still getting a very talented quarterback in the 5th round.
But and someone who's
going to already drafted Dylan Gabriel.
It doesn't make a lot.
It doesn't make sense when you've already got 3 other quarterbacks on your roster. You've already drafted one.
Where's Joe Flacco's going somewhere? There's no way he sticks with the Browns.
I bet he's week 1 starter.
I think he unretired, actually.
So he's going to pull Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I think he should retire and get out of that mess.
Yeah,
it's good for
that
hard
would be
knocks.
wise, but yeah, so I don't know.
Okay,
Kenny Pickett's stuck in it. I don't know.
Pickett will get cut, man. He's got the tiniest. He's got the hands of a dwarf, man.
He's gonna go back up for the Cardinals. That way they can have the shortest guy.
Than anybody else right now. Holy
that way they
that
can
fake slide, man.
The Cardinals can have the shortest quarterback and the smallest handed quarterback.
That does sound like a Cardinals kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
All right, so last thing before we get into some of the comments from other sports commentators. So, Mel Kiper talking about how if you haven't seen it, go just type in Mel Kiper freaks out or something like that on YouTube. You'll see a screaming match between him and Lewis Riddick and poor Reese Davis, who's right in the middle. Is like, guys.
Yeah.
They just kept going. They're yelling at each other.
I think
there's picks being going right there, and they're still screaming at each other.
I think the part that I hated the most was there was 8, maybe 10 picks from Shedeur.
And no one's talking about
and they weren't talking about anything except Shedeur.
Yep.
And I was like, guys, this is so inconsiderate and rude.
Yep.
Like, you don't put this much time on a first round guy.
Oh, rude.
Like, they don't spend this much time on a first round pick. Ever.
Nope.
None of these other first round picks had this much time. It was like 5 minutes of them talking about Shedeur.
Oh, it was longer than that. You're being kind.
I mean, it was awful.
Must watch TV, I'll give it that.
But it was
I
like,
can't believe we were all watching. It's like, no way this is happening.
yeah.
So, Mel Kiper, who is screaming that the NFL doesn't know how to evaluate talent at quarterback, but yet he does. Here's some of Mel Kiper's past best guesses here. Johnny Manziel should go first overall.
That worked out well.
Wasn't that a Browns on that point? The Shedeur thing feels kind of Johnny Manziel-esque.
A little
Pretty
bit.
good college quarterback. But your talent...
Yeah, Johnny Manziel did something at Texas A&M.
Your talent isn't enough to outweigh your character issues in the end.
Okay, but Johnny Manziel is actually talented.
At least he did something.
Yeah, and Shedeur Sanders is very talented.
Oh, he is talented.
Yes, he is. Okay. No, he's got issues as a quarterback of holding the ball too long and some other stuff. But he's a very accurate thrower of the ball.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and so there's still a lot of talent at quarterback, but it's not enough to outweigh the character issues. Johnny Manziel, probably more talented coming out of college, but again, his biggest issue was his character issues. It's not enough to outweigh it. It feels somewhat comparable to that. Anyways.
Well, and you look at, that's a really good point you make about the character. All of us, were so surprised when the Saints came up, they drafted Tyler Shuck. We've seen Tyler Shuck in the Big 12.
Dude, I think the funniest thing was the video of him scrambling out of the corner thing, and he does this stupid little underhand, like, and it just about gets picked off, and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right, but that's the thing. Tyler Shuck doesn't come with any baggage.
Yeah.
Do you know what's crazy is Tyler Shuck lost to Brock Purdy in the Fiesta Bowl.
That's him 2 times.
Well, yes, but that's
I think Tyler
crazy.
Shuck
He lost to Brock Purdy in college football, and Brock Purdy's been in the NFL for
he was
Dude, he was in the same high school class as Blonde Jesus.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Blonde Jesus. Tyler Shuck comes with very little of anything, I think, actually.
Heresy. Anyway, here's a couple more. Lamar Jackson should switch to wide receiver.
Yeah.
Blaine Gabbert. Anyone remember Blaine Gabbert?
For 1 year.
Okay, he was a really good quarterback in Missouri. He was like number 2 or 3 overall to the Jaguars years ago at quarterback.
Yep.
Blaine Gabbert would be better than Cam Newton.
He was a backup for a very long time.
Nope. And anyone remember the name Jimmy Clausen at all?
Mm-hmm. Recognize it.
He was not a good quarterback at Notre Dame. And Jimmy Clausen would be a star.
Yeah.
Mel, listen, a draft is a draft. You do your best to evaluate, but in the end, you're just guessing and throwing wet noodles at the wall and hoping they stick.
Yeah.
You know?
Here's what I'm saying. Teams do a ton of watching the players that they think they want.
Oh, yeah.
They've got scouts at these games. They're talking with them. They have meetings. They're not dumb. Well, I don't know. The Browns are dumb. The Browns are dumb. But that goes way further beyond this, right? They drafted Johnny Manziel. that shows
How many
you one issue.
quarterbacks have they had since
Okay,
1999?
the biggest mistake
Yes.
still is he's at the Bucks now. Why can't I think of
Baker
his name?
Mayfield,
Baker
man.
Mayfield. That is the biggest mistake they made.
Look
is
how
getting
good he's
rid of
thriving
him.
down there now.
It is a little
I
weird to think that
love it.
Baker Mayfield was once a Browns quarterback.
He was the best Browns quarterback in the last 10 years.
He took him to the playoffs and won a playoff game against
And
the
then-
Steelers.
They cut him. And I'm like, guys, he's been your best quarterback that you've ever had. The city loved him. They loved the attitude he brought.
If you want to talk about
Yeah.
talent outweighing character issues, Baker Mayfield had some character issues coming out of college football. Really talented, and so and
but
again he's put so much aside. And
Yep. He plays
he's
with
now
a
turned into a pretty
he
good-
plays with a certain
Yeah.
swagger that teammates
Yeah.
like, that players like,
and now
that
he's turned
coaches
into
like.
a starting NFL quarterback.
Yeah, and
he could win the
he's
South.
done well. I think he could.
well, that's mostly in part because the South sucks, but
Yeah, the Panthers are just behind the Browns for sucking, but that's okay.
Well, maybe Bryce Young can get him up to 6 wins this year.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Okay, now
NFC South is sad. It is so sad.
it's a really bad division.
I don't.
NFC South is bad.
The Saints don't make a lot of sense at quarterback either. Is Derek Carr really your fix?
Is Tyler
well,
Shuck
now
your
he's
fix?
injured, so now it's either
Yeah.
Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler.
Don't forget about
I was gonna say they
don't forget
have
about your
four.
tight end, wannabe quarterback from
Taysom Hill.
BYU.
Taysom Hill, yeah.
I
The
don't know.
Falcons have ever since they blew that lead to the Patriots, they've been sad.
bad.
They
Yeah.
took a great college tight end and didn't do anything with
I
him
know,
so far.
man. Kyle Pitts is.
And then the Panthers are,
The Panthers.
if it's Browns, they're right here. So I don't know.
They're
I'll just call it right now. The Bucks won the NFC South. Their preview done for the NFC South. We have
Most
to do that
likely.
episode even.
Yeah.
All right. So now Shedeur Sanders. What are the actual reasons that he didn't get picked high? Okay, Deion Sanders, his old man, goes on Super Bowl week, and you do interviews during the week. It's a big old hullabaloo that week leading up to the game, and Deion tells multiple outlets that if my son goes to a certain team, we just won't go there.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess we won't take you then. Shedeur, during NFL combine interviews, during the press conference time, said, well, if you're not ready to change the coach or change the culture, then don't draft me. Okay, message received. We won't draft you then.
Received loud and clear.
Yep.
And then there's multiple, now you would know better because you're a Giants fan, but there's multiple sources about Brian. At least you have hope a little bit now. But Brian Dable said he was the worst interview he'd ever had.
Well, and
Yeah.
the Giants up until I think it was Super Bowl week,
We're going to take him. Probably.
Shedeur was their top pick.
Yeah, it was like, okay, well,
Cam
it felt like
for
Cam
sure.
it felt like he was pretty sure that Cam Ward was going one, and it was like, well, okay, is it Browns or Giants taking Shedeur? Is it Browns or Giants taking Shedeur? That's kind of what
By
it
the way,
had
you're going
turned
to
into
take Travis
for a
if
while.
Shedeur went, but
Yeah, but that's kind of what the talk had turned into for a while.
Yep.
But look at all these reasons. Those are very, very simple and easy reasons to say, okay, here's why I didn't get drafted. My attitude is terrible. My dad certainly isn't helping me out at all with his comments. And there's just so much bad aura around this guy. Like, he thinks he's that in a bag of chips. At least Deion was super accomplished at Florida State and could be cocky in the way he is because he earned it.
Yep.
And you know what? He ended up being the greatest defensive back in the entire league ever.
Yep.
Deion is the greatest cornerback ever in this league.
Now,
Charles Woodson?
No, Deion was multi-sport just like Charles was, and they both won the Heisman. So, no, I'd go with one thing that Deion doesn't have is a national title like Charles did.
the biggest thing I think
Cooper
for
DeJean might have a say in that
yeah,
conversation.
well now he will.
Old Iowa.
The biggest thing I would say for college athletes is
Yep.
keep your mouth shut until you've proven yourself in the league. Because really, that's what hurts you the most.
Josh Rosen.
Look at Josh Rosen,
How many mistakes
right?
were made ahead of him? Was
8,
it 10?
apparently, something.
11.
It was 11. That's right.
But there's just a
11
certain
mistakes.
thing, right? Like, if you just keep your mouth shut and you prove yourself, like, as much as Caleb Williams is an iffy, people are kind of iffy about him.
Sure.
He at least kept his mouth shut, right? It's like
Yeah.
there was a lot of people that I think overinflated him as a player.
Yeah.
He has a lot of talent,
Yeah.
but he kept his mouth shut. And yes, he made a dumb comment about, hey, you're not going to be needed here to, the greatest punter right now in the league. But
punters.
guess what? He kind of ate his own words and he shut up. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, until you prove that you can actually play in the league and be somebody, you can't go out there being the biggest guy on the field the first year you come out of the draft, the first minute you're in the draft,
and
before the draft. I mean, Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith for a year or two, almost.
It was one year, yeah.
And now look at him, right? He can say whatever the world he wants because he is the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yes, definitely.
And I mean, you can just look at the contrast between Shedeur Sanders and who went number one, Cam Ward.
Yep.
Started with one offer out of high school. Was it?
Zero-star recruit.
Zero-star recruit.
Iowa State is 2-0 against Cam Ward.
Yeah, then got to Washington State and then to Miami and did nothing but just ball out on the field and earn his way.
Well, I saw a video
his way.
of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
And Shedeur was like, hey, you want to go make a rap video? And Cam was like, no, I'm going to play football. He goes, when people Google me, when they search Cam Ward, I want them to see football player. Yeah. He goes, that's what I'm here to play football. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play football.
That's what he's about. He's about football and being the best he can be and improving the team around him. And, I mean, the Miami offense was electric this last year with Cam Ward.
Yep.
He ran it very efficiently. It's funny because early on, people were like, Cam Ward almost looks bored playing offense. Like, it's just that easy for him. And so he's so good. And just it's such a stark contrast between who went number one and who slipped to the fifth round.
And even at his when he was drafted, they were like, "Hey, what got you here?" He goes, "My hard work." That's what he credited it to.
Love the responses.
It was just
so good.
My hard work. I've put it all in. I've done my best to get here, and now I'm just glad I'm here. Like, I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to go compete.
You like this guy,
and so it's like,
it works out for Tennessee.
Yeah, you go. Okay, this is the kind of guy that I think a team wants on their a player that a team wants because he has leadership ability without the big aura of I'm the best, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to respect.
And then even to further that point, if you look at the top picks, Cam Ward, high character player. I'm blanking on his name. Travis Hunter.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, like extremely talented.
Ridiculous talent.
And not overly
I was going to say, you don't
cocky,
hear
right?
much coming out of him. He just goes plays.
Abdul Carter. Just goes and plays. Will Campbell.
Big old
that was my favorite moment on stage was when Will Campbell, when the chick asked him, what is New England getting? Or something like that. And he says, I will fight and die to protect him or something like that. I don't remember the exact quote. That's who you want in your locker room. Is guys with that guy is a guy with that kind of attitude, and it's his arms are too short. But it's like, who cares? Look at that quality of character that you're getting. You know that no matter what, it will not be for a lack of effort. It will not be. He's not going to be a distraction. You know
he's teachable. You know he's
got to be Clay.
Yeah, because it's like they're coming in. They're going. Guess what? I want to work hard. I want to do my best. And I'm going to need help. Right? I mean, it's like that's what you want in a player is someone who goes, I need someone to help me. And they are just wanting to take it all in. They're wanting to learn. They're wanting to get information. Just suck it in and then improve themselves. Yep. And that's what a lot of these players are in that first round. When you look through that first round and you say, yeah, okay, some of these guys, you go, maybe.
For the most part, and if they're not that guy, the reason they got drafted that high is because their talent outweighs that, okay? Because, again, there's a lot of NFL teams, if your talent outweighs your crappy character, you're going to get a shot. They're still going to take you, i.e. Deshaun Watson.
That didn't work out.
I mean, out of college, he wasn't.
No, but I mean him getting NFL, literally the biggest quarterback contract ever after the sexual assault allegations. It was after that he got because the Browns thought that his talent outweighed his character issue, and so it was a miscalculation on Shedeur Sanders' part. He thought he was all that in a bag of chips, so he thought he could be arrogant about it. He miscalculated his talent, and that's why he got picked by the Browns in the 5th round.
Well, who gave that advice? His old man.
Well, and here's all he fed into it. Mainly, I think no one ever shut him down. I think that's the biggest mistake made out of all this is no one ever shut him down and said, guess what? You're good. You're a talented player.
You guys shut up, man.
Now just shut up and play.
Yeah.
And just prove to people that you are a talented player.
Yeah.
No one ever told him that. No one's ever told him to just sit down and shut up and just do your job. No one's ever told him that. And so he has a big mouth on him and he has a huge ego because no one's ever took him down a notch and just really humbled him and said, hey, guess what? People don't want to listen to that.
Well, no one's really humbled him since the Nebraska game, at least.
Yeah,
that 2 years ago. That was pretty fun to watch. And I don't like Nebraska, but I was cheering for them in that game.
Last year, yeah.
You know, that's the fun thing is that in the Big 12, after Texas and Oklahoma left, we were found, okay, who do we hate? I don't hate anyone. And then Dion
in Colorado.
went to Colorado. I was like,
makes things pretty
okay,
easy.
that was easy.
And again, I want to like Colorado. Like, I want to cheer for them in the Big 12. Having a big brand in the Big 12 helps a lot.
It's great.
But holy crap, is this annoying?
Yeah.
Right? And it's and you, as far as what it looks like, is Deion Sanders ruined his son's chance at getting drafted higher, and then having more stock in.
I will say, and I don't know if I mentioned this ever on a podcast, but I did say that Shedeur was.
Well, he's really high up in his chair right now.
Not. I said Shedeur was not the best quarterback. I said he would not go high.
You were right.
Because I just watched his bowl game. Well, no, I watched the bowl games because everybody was saying
BYU.
Well, everybody was saying Shedeur was going to be 1, right? Cam was maybe going to be 2.
Sure.
They weren't really sure. Okay, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I watched the bowl games. What Cam Ward did against Iowa State was very impressive.
He was great.
He sat the second half.
Yep.
He was very efficient. Maybe he shouldn't have sat the second half, but it didn't hurt his draft, right? He went out, he performed, he did what was asked of him, and he did a good job.
He did.
And then the coaches decided, hey, we're going to sit you for the second half because we want to preserve you, right?
Yeah.
That
was clearly planned beforehand. It was go out there for a little bit.
Get the record for the touchdowns.
Yep. And then sit and save yourself for the draft because we know you're going to be a high pick.
Worked out for Iowa State.
Shedeur went and lost
BYU killed
to BYU. Shedeur looked terrible in that game.
Yep.
He looked like a quarterback who had no reason to be going to the NFL draft.
Nope.
And those 2 games, if that's all you ever watched, you'd go, why is who is talking about Shedeur? Why is everybody talking about this kid?
Yep.
They had 3 receivers drafted in to go in the draft. Colorado did.
Yeah.
How much of his success was because of the people around him?
Well,
and I would
really
say
good wide receivers.
A massive
good
amount of
staff
it was
on the offense,
and a lot of it was Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
and that's why he went 2, and Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round.
Yeah, because when a team starts to look into it and you go, there's something blaringly wrong about this picture.
Yep.
But you watch Shedeur and you watch the way he plays. Yes, he does have a good arm. He has good talent.
Holds the ball way too long.
He has terrible decision making, and I think it comes back to nobody's ever told him that he's wrong, right? Nobody's ever sat him down and said, "Hey, you just need to get rid of the ball. Stop trying to make every big play and just go make the right."
And
play.
again, you would think if an NFL team takes him, that's where they can tell him stop holding the ball so long. But
can you tell him that?
Can you? Yeah.
Is he going to be?
And I think that's what
that's what it should be, right? Is if a quarterback has struggles holding the ball too long. Right, you go to an NFL team, they can say, "Hey, we can fix that." Right, that's fixable.
Yep.
Okay,
but he's moldable though. That's the thing.
And so normally that would be what it would be for a quarterback, but instead it's, "Hey, nope, high character, arrogance."
You do something as mean as throw him out there first week and just let him get absolutely obliterated a couple games just to set him down a couple notches.
$2 right now that Flacco's the starter week 1.
All right, write that down.
Okay. Put a note on this. He thinks Flacco's starter week 1.
Yep, $2.
I think Shedeur's starter week 1.
Oof. Deshaun's not starting week 1. We know that.
And then Deshaun starts week 2.
So Deshaun Watson is injured.
Do they go through all 5 quarterbacks?
Deshaun Watson. They're going to see if every quarterback.
Deshaun Watson is injured. I don't think he's a factor this year.
That's the issue. Thing.
I think Deshaun is.
I will also go with Joe Flacco.
Okay.
No $2 from him though.
I think you go with old reliable there. And then probably at some point you're gonna try your young quarterbacks.
I hope Gabriel just balls out.
I think they're gonna do a dumb thing and put Shedeur in there.
I think so too. Just because Jimmy Haslam is a terrible owner, tell the GM, you will start.
But again, if you guys out there, if you watch any of the big mainstream sports shows, and if they mention that the reason that he was not drafted had anything to do with racism, Those people are stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. Stop watching them.
Yep, here I got some right
Stop
here for you.
watching
To
them.
stop watching, stop listening to, or what?
Listen to
Come
Talking
listen to
Laws.
us.
Listen to
We're
Talking
smart.
Laws.
We know everything.
There's other
No.
sports shows out there
Colin
that are
Cowherd
really smart about
was
this.
terrific about this.
That are really smart about this.
Didn't he say
If you want to
something
shout out the
weird
Daily
about it,
Wire,
though?
Crane and
He's
Company,
gonna say what we're saying.
go. Yeah, us when we
Crane
have
and
our
Company was
occasional lame sports shows. Stop watching these. If they say that, stop watching them. Do not support them. Because until people stop watching them, that's what fuels them to be able to say dumb stuff like this.
They're race baiting.
Was
you.
because they still have a following. So until that number is hurt, their numbers are hurt. They're not going to stop saying stupid stuff like this and trying to race bait. So stop watching them.
I agree. Watch Talking Laws. Watch Crane and Company. Colin Cowherd was really good about this. Okay, here's some receipts. Emmanuel Acho on Fox, Stephen A. Smith, and all the major media outlets, with, like I said, the exceptions. She has a whole thing about how this is wrong. This is about whiteness in America. All the owners, with the exception of the Panthers, are all white. Blah blah blah. Here's an article. Here's an excerpt from an article from a magazine called The Root.
It's so stupid.
Why Shadur Sanders getting chosen for the 5th round is just more NFL racism at work.
Good YouTubing.
Here's what it says. This is just an excerpt. Quote, Shadur Sanders not getting drafted in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd rounds of the NFL draft is like when that white cashier scrunches up her face, drops change in your hand instead of running the risk of touching you. Was she a racist Karen?
So handing you change the
They do the
efficient
same
way?
thing to me.
Silas, would you put your hand up? Would you prefer just drop
James,
your...
can we run?
Yeah.
Would you rather me just... All right, thank
Yeah.
you, sir. Have a nice day. Or would you say, put your hand back. Put your hand back.
Just
No, do it like it's like...
no.
Here's your change.
No, I don't want.
No. And to finish it...
I feel
was she-
violated.
Take it over their HR. Was she a racist
Hey,
Karen?
was that you?
I guess. Or is that how she treats all customers? It's a racism Rorschach test.
Yeah. Again, you have to ignore the fact that Cam Ward was taken first overall. That, what was it,
27 of the 32,
of the 32 were black.
Or that 75% of the league is black for the players.
Yeah, it's
And they're the ones really making all
you
that.
have to you have to look at
I
it
don't
through such
care
a
as long as my team
narrow.
wins.
You have to look
Yeah.
at it through such a narrow chasm to be able to see it as racism.
I'm
and
pretty sure
ignore
the
all of these
only-
other things, and
the
it's
only
stupid and it's all made up.
Major sport in the United States that's not heavily black is like
Hockey.
hockey,
Baseball.
and baseball.
And then baseball, but hey,
Golf.
baseball
Golf.
isn't baseball
Yeah.
predominantly
There's-
Hispanic? Though?
yeah,
or is it
ton
white?
of-
I think it's pretty even with the
Yeah.
whites and the Hispanics.
Yeah.
No
It's
like the one
boxing,
sport
they're good
where
at
But
that.
there's a
still
lot
got
of
it.
like Dominican Republic and a lot of
Yeah, so now
Puerto
we're
Rico.
stuck.
Puerto
So now
Rican
white guys are
and
just like
stuff.
playing hockey and
Golf.
and fighting. So
Bowl-
that means
we got
we just
bowling
yeah,
nailed.
UFC.
Bowling
So
nailed.
just-
Although those are all the
all the-
Russian
all the
guys,
sports
but
where you
I
don't
guess
have
they're
any-
still white.
Yeah, still
white.
white. Okay. Well, it's all Russians and
Yeah.
hockey anyway. So well, like,
Yeah, that's
hey,
true.
Don't forget those our brothers up in
Slovakians.
the Great North,
not our
which
brothers.
we should probably take a moment of silence.
They're like
and
our
like to Mark
gay
Carney.
cousin up there or something like
Did
that.
they?
Yeah, Mark Carney is uglier. Justin Trudeau is the prime minister.
He did get elected.
Thanks for Canada.
Congratulations, Canada. You still suck.
You suck again.
So
All right, last one. This guy is a potential 2028 presidential candidate for the Democrats.
I'd vote for
Stephen
him.
A. Smith. And he is seen as a moderate. And now I would consider him a moderate compared to what Jasmine Crockett
Yeah.
and
In
AOC
comparison,
and
yeah.
Bernie. Right. John F. Kennedy, if he was alive today, would be a hardcore conservative.
So would Bill Clinton.
Slick Willie? Yeah, definitely.
Slick Willie.
That's a new soundbite right there. All right, here's a Stephen A. Smith text.
For a soundboard
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
July. We're getting one July. That's a new. All right. Here's a Stephen A. Smith tweeted. Someone just texted me this message, and they are absolutely correct. What?
It means he just made it up and wrote it down and wanted to make it sound smart.
Yeah.
This is a bad look for the NFL. This feels like Kaepernick level collusion. All the hard work the NFL league office puts in to eradicate this kind of perceptions, only to turn around and watch the owners capitalize, which means whiteness, look like they're colluding, messing up everything. What has been done to Shador will outshine everything else in this draft. We'll never believe this about just about talent evaluation ever again.
You know, it's never been about talent evaluation only.
You know, it's
always been more than that.
That's disgusting.
What I don't like is the amount of players that were very talented, and went and got drafted. Nothing. They don't get anything from this.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there going like, so wait, what about me? I do I do nothing
about me?
Right? It's like there's a ton of players that didn't get drafted. Why? What about them? I mean, it's like why one person? Because he had all the publicity and everybody said he should have gone here and he didn't.
He's Deion's kid.
Yeah, it was.
He's a black athlete, and Stephen A. Smith is the biggest race baiter in the world, and he is going to more than likely be at least in the debates at least in 28. Oh, I sure hope so. I'd love to see him and hair gel
it'll be
from California go at it.
They'll be in debates in 2027.
Well, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Leading up to the 28 election. You're so smart.
Nerd.
Thank you. Because every 6 months there's a new political campaign ad.
If you want racism to end, turn off the TV. That's literally it.
Yep.
Stop talking about it. That's why it was like, what was it with the Amish? They were asked, well, why isn't there COVID here? And it's like, well, because we don't have TVs.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's the same thing. It's all manufactured almost as much as the Jussie Smollett thing was manufactured.
Well, what about what about Bubba Wallace? That was legitimate, right?
Right. So it's
all about what gets
again.
the views.
You have to stop watching these people that talk about these things. Make them feel it in the wallet. Make them feel the loss of viewers, and they'll finally, possibly, maybe stop talking about it. But you can't just keep watching people that race bait, because then they feel vindicated in doing that. They know that it drives in clicks, so we have to stop watching them. Go find somebody else that doesn't do that. It's also because it's not like their sports takes are very good anyways to make it worth it. So
they just yell a lot.
Yeah.
I can yell a lot. You guys want me to yell more?
Yeah, we can yell. That's easy.
It's easy
Make
to
the
yell.
producer take her headphones off. I mean, if people want to get 30 minutes of yelling, like we can find something to get all hot and mad about and yell about. Like that's easy enough.
Well, here's the thing: Colin Kaepernick taking that knee and all that. Guess what? People stopped watching the NFL, and they was like, that's kind of hurting our bottom line here."
Mm-hmm.
So, and finally, Kaepernick wasn't worth the talent, and he's gone now.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with Shador, but
either be really high character or really, really good. You got to be at least one of those things.
Tyler Shuck,
Shador Sanders,
he
neither of them.
sucks.
High character.
High character.
He doesn't suck. He's just injured a lot.
Have you seen
his highlights?
Did you not watch both games he lost?
Did you not watch his draft?
Purdy have terrible throws. He's a starter in the NFL.
Did you watch his?
Yeah, guess what? High character
I
guy.
saw Purdy throw some really stupid interceptions.
The TCU game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plenty of stupid interceptions.
Did you see his? Did you see his pro day?
Oh, it's so
Where
so good. It's bad.
He did he throws it and it's like 5 yards
It
ahead of the
looked like
receiver.
Kirk Cousins trying to pop a balloon for his gender reveal.
Dude,
he's been a starter in the NFL. Okay, so I don't know.
So
I don't know. I'm trying, Chuck. I don't really know why,
but
I'm trying.
He's watching us. That's for sure.
I hope he is.
Maybe now he is.
Yeah.
You've got a fan in me. All right, you go win that starting job in New Orleans. You help that sucky franchise there.
Come on the podcast. We can talk about losing Iowa State twice.
All right.
Love you,
I think
Tyler.
that's all we got for today. We're gonna end it right there. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.